could be made a lot easier, a lot simpler in the coming months when the people get back to easier ways, more or less normality, even though I don't think it's ever going to be normal again, because it's just the way things are. We're moving on, times change, people change, but at this moment in time there's nothing changed. There's rumours, lots of rumours, but nothing set in stone as of from 9 p.m. last night.
So have you spoke to Tyson recently? Where's his head at with all of this?
We're used to it. I said, just sit tight. If they can make it, all well and good, and if they don't, by the way, last Saturday was the clock ran out from last Saturday, and if we didn't want the fight, we still wouldn't be here negotiating. We want this fight. We're going to give him every opportunity to put this fight on in June or July. But if he doesn't fight in June, if they can't put it on in June or July, we're going to fight anyway, with or without AJ.
What's good, family? Smash the like button and subscribe. So we just heard there from John Theory, and I'm afraid to tell you, man, obviously, as you probably heard there, it's sounding like bad news. And I'll tell you why it's bad news. I put a video out yesterday. We all heard a Tyson Fury video. Fury came out and said, I'm giving Anthony Joshua until Tuesday. And at that point, I said to you, man, listen, this is now 50-50. Is Fury given the extension? That can be seen as positive, obviously, because 1 minute ago he was counting down. Now, the extension means the countdown potentially isn't real. However, I also said that it could all be a game. He could have given the extension to sucker the fans. Because ending negotiations on the deadline, that's pretty bait that you don't want to fight. Especially when your team, or especially when it's become apparent that your team won't do in no leg room. So I said, it could be, it's one or the other. Either he's given the extension genuinely because he wants to fight, or he's given the extension to make it look good publicly to the public. Now, since then, John Theory, as we just heard, has given us another update. He said nothing's been done yet, but the fact, he says nothing's been done yet, but the fact that we've given the extension proves we want to make this fight. Now, he's basically saying what I said yesterday, if that makes sense. But when you're an insider, why is he thinking like that? Why is he coming out and saying, look, this proves he want the fight? From his point of view, if you genuinely want something, you'd just genuinely want it. You wouldn't need to be justifying it. Do you understand what you follow me here? Why does he say, we gave the extension, that proves he won it. Well, why are you telling us that? You should just be wanting to make the fight, no? So the fact he's brought that to our attention implies to me that behind the scenes, it may have actually been a move. Because why is that on the tip of his tongue? Why is it on his mind for? Why is he begging to tell the fans, look, see, we did want it. That's why we gave, look, it proves we wanted it because we gave the extension. When you're in the middle of a negotiation and both teams are genuinely trying to make it, these things shouldn't be on your mind. It shouldn't matter about public. It shouldn't matter about the perception. Shouldn't matter. All that should matter is we're trying to make this fight. The minute people start talking about perceptions and how things look, it implies there's something else fishy going on behind closed doors. And I wouldn't mind if this was an isolated event. But what else do we know? Over the last 28 days, there's been clear, what would you call it? A clear coordination scheme in Team Fury. This isn't the first time we've heard something fishy. The fact they were all saying about the venue and C19 and regulations, every single one of them, Fish Eyes, Bob Arum, Theory, John and Tyson. And now he's trying to make sure the perception's out there. Look, see, we did want it. If we didn't want it, we wouldn't have given the extension. However, again, I ended the video yesterday saying, I'm tired of all this go round in circles business. Hopefully this week we're going to find out ultimately either way. Obviously this channel, we're in the news business, so I thought I'd bring you this anyway, because this right here, the little bit of information he did give us is a negative. End of the day, it's a negative. These people are spending more time worrying about the perception, trying to educate the fans on how they want us to think, rather than really just making a damn fight. Oh look, this proves we gave an extension. This proves you want to fight. Well no, why don't you just shut up and get in there signing things? Because from AJ's point of view, AJ's already said we're doing this fight. I don't care about the money or anything else. We're going to get it in. You guys have been the one worrying about Mayweather, Pacquiao, money, venues. And that's my stumbling block here. At not one point have Team Fury just said, we're doing this fight. That's it. Because regardless of anything else, that's all you need in this environment. The environment isn't that bad. Fair enough, yeah. If there was no boxing going on or no sport going on, I'd get it how you can say, look at the environment. But McGregor's fought, AJ's fought, everyone's fought. So the things aren't really a problem. The only problem will be if Team Fury don't want to do it for whatever reason. They can't agree on terms. We know there's evidence that AJ will agree terms because he's fought already. So from AJ's point of view, he's already fought Pulev for much less in a much smaller arena in Eddie Hearn's backyard. So AJ's expectations are real low. It can't get any worse for him. And this Fury fight is going to be 10 times more money in his pocket than the Pulev fight. So we know AJ wants this fight. Why not? Otherwise, he's going to be fighting Usyk anyway. Do you understand? From AJ's point of view, he's going to be fighting Usyk anyway for much less money. He wants it. But for Fury, for some reason, despite all the maths being positive, i.e. it's 10 times, 20 times bigger than his next best fight, he keeps saying things like, oh, well, they can't get it done by this date and that day. What do you mean can't get it done? What can't get done? Because you're so confident about moving on and fighting twice this year anyway. How can you get them fights done then? Because if you've got so much hang up on the venue and whatever else, how can the other 2 fights be done? It doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. And that moves me on to the next part that John Fury says. So we've covered the first red flag. The second red flag, he says, we're going to give Team Fury, AJ, every opportunity to make the fight in June or July. If it doesn't happen then, we're going to fight 2 times this year anyway, without AJ. Now, again, when 2 parties want a fight, and this is how fights normally go, when you have 2 big fights, teams work hand in hand. What I've noticed over the last 4 months, it's always been a us and them. Oh, we're going to give them, like as if Team Fury are doing Team AJ a favour. Oh, we're going to give them one more chance. We're going to give them an extension. We're going to give them every opportunity to make it for June. Meanwhile, they've just sat back and done nothing, which is a massive red flag in itself. I've never heard of anything like this. Any big fight, Triple G Spot versus Canelo, both teams, you know what I'm saying? Both teams doing their best. Team Fury just sit back nitpicking. I get a bad feeling about it, especially when you look at Fury's other fights. Fury versus Vlad, Fury versus Wilder twice. Did you hear this? Did you hear in Fury versus Wilder, did you hear in either of the fights Fury saying, oh, we're going to give them every opportunity to do it for this date, if not, it's off. Oh, you know what I'm saying? I didn't hear any of that. Both teams worked well behind the scenes, and that was that. All I've heard from Team Fury is, it's weird. They haven't ever attached themselves. It's never been us. It's never been, as in us, as in AJ and Fury. Normally, for these mega fights, teams have to work hand in hand. From Team Fury, I've never heard them say, yeah, we're working well together. We're working to make this fight with Eddie Hearn, with Team AJ, and we're going to put it on for the fans or whatever. Never heard that. It's always been, they better do this. You know what I'm saying? We're going to give them every opportunity. We're going to give them an extension. It's never been singular. It's never sounded like one big family working together to ultimately put on the biggest sporting show in the last 100 years. I haven't got that feeling. I might be wrong. I may be reading too much into it. But again, all in all, if something just don't sit right with me. Even now, after Fury's come out, his dad's still shutting it off. Why would he be doing that? Now, to play devil's advocate, it may be the case that John Fury's got some anxiety in his mind. It may be the case that John Fury sees AJ and thinks to himself, and I don't even think John Fury is doing this consciously. I think it's subconscious. Subconsciously, John Fury doesn't want to associate his son with AJ. He doesn't want it to be real. So he's constantly trying to put barriers up to protect his son from AJ. Because when he goes to bed at night, he sleeps better knowing my son is going to fight two bums than he's going to fight AJ. And therefore, he errs on the negative side. Because he couldn't deal. How can he mentally deal with the possibility of his son going in there next with AJ? It's all over then. All that hype about, it's not a man born from his mother. It's all over. So rather than deal with that reality, he'd rather just pray and hope and put barriers up and say, oh, we're going to give them every opportunity, but ultimately, if it's not done by June and July, we're moving on. We're moving on. You don't even train your son. You're not even in it like that with your son. But still, you seem to be happy putting barriers up. For example, John Fury could be saying, given how much... Listen, John Fury is an outsider when it comes to negotiations and whatnot. And given how much of an outsider he is, he could be saying, listen, I'm not involved in the contract negotiations, which he isn't, but me and my son wants this fight. And we're going to get it. I know he's going to do his best to get this fight done. John's never said that. All John said is try and distance him and his son from the fight. And obviously I haven't had kids myself, but in my PhD in psychology, that's what it is. John Fury, you don't want to be near him. You don't want to be near the AJ. It's as simple as that. He sleeps better at night, not having to deal with that possibility. And he's just trying any little thing. Oh, we're going to do them a favour. And nah, that's not how big fights are made. Big fights aren't made by one team doing it all and the other team sitting back and nitpicking through the whole process. If it does get made, I'll be shocked. This will be a first for me. I've never seen anything like this before. Don't get me wrong. I've seen two teams hate each other, yeah. I've seen two teams hate each other. But it's always been, when it comes to the business, they've always been on level playing field. It's almost like a female, or it's almost like a relationship. The minute you've got one side chasing the other, it never ends well. Them things never last long. Good relationships, or stable relationships, both people, it's like you meet in the middle. The minute one's chasing the other, it ain't lasting more than a few months at most. Same as negotiations or whatever. The minute you've got one team doing it all and chasing and trying to please people, it don't work. Because you can never do enough. And that's where I think Team AJ are. They're begging for it right now. And you never want to be a beggar. But that's how, listen, when you're rock hard for something, AJ is rock hard for Fury. It's rock hard for him. His lippy's all out. AJ's lipstick's all the way out. Rock hard as well. And Fury knows it, he senses it. And that's why, again, taking it back to the relationship analogy, often it's push and pull. Yeah, and AJ be pushing all the stuff in right now. All the way in. Yeah? Have you had it pushed in? He's had it pushed in. No doubt, 100%. AJ be pushing, and Fury be trying to back it up. End of the day. Yeah? Sorry, that's what he'd be doing. Fury would be trying to escape. He don't want to be pushed in no more. Yeah? And AJ just keep pushing. And Fury just, one of them ones. He's been pushed too much now. It's all the way in now. Yeah? And then that's what I tried to tell AJ. I rang AJ. I said, listen, AJ, you've pushed it all the way in now. There's no more to push. Yeah? Pushed it right in for him. But AJ said to me, YB, I need to push some more. I said, you can't push no more. It's in. Yeah? It's one of them ones. Fury's backed it all the way up now. Fury's backed all up. 100%. So, listen. End of this week, we're going to find out what's going on. I'm just telling you, man, that these things, and from my analysis, from my PhD analysis, this ain't helping. Or this ain't positive. It constantly feels like John Fury is doing us all a favour, doing the world a favour. Oh yeah, we're gonna give them every opportunity to do it for June. So he's put a date limitation in there. Well, if it's August, it's no good. We're gonna give them every opportunity. Well, no, why aren't you? You should be saying, we're going to work together and get it done. Regardless of the date, regardless of any of them goofy parts, we're going to get it done. But you never hear that from them. It's if, buts, whatevers. And I'll be shocked if it does get done. But this could just be, again, playing devil's advocate, this could just be the fact that John Fury really is not involved in the negotiations at all. And on that basis, he just don't have a clue what's going on. He's saying one thing and really the reality is completely different. Maybe the June-July deadline is in his own mind. Maybe it's not coming from real Team Fury that they're going to give AJ every chance. Maybe that's just John Fury's way of saying things. But then again, from Eddie Hearn's own mouth, he said, listen, he said to Team Fury, have you done anything to help this fight? A kind of rhetorical question. And the answer to that was obviously no. Another massive red flag. But anyway, I'm done with all this. Not long now. Well, actually, no, it's Thursday now, isn't it? It's now Thursday. Wow, it's Thursday, folks. It's Thursday. And we ain't heard nothing. I don't know, man. It's gonna be another 3 weeks. It's gonna drag on. This is bare long for man right now.